So how much did we charge the customer for this pretty significant flower bed cleanup and reset project? We're going to tell you that in a minute. This is Sean with Troxel Services, and this video is mainly for landscapers to help you out in determining how much you price jobs like this for, but it's also beneficial for homeowners just to watch what we go through and maybe your landscaper might go through when they're determining how much something costs. So you can already see I've shown you here 4 or 5 different areas. So I would say this is a medium project for us, maybe slightly larger than a medium project, just because there were at least 5 or 6 areas we had to work on. You'll see all of them here in a minute. But, getting out all the old mulch, lots of bush trimming. The bushes needed heavy trimming. You can see rocks here that we had to take out and remove the grass. And again, all the old mulch taken out before we put the new mulch in. But again, going to tell you the price on this in just a second. And there's so many factors here. We had to bring in some more pea gravel back here. And here you're going to see the brand new look. It's absolutely gorgeous. We charged the customer $2,500 for this particular job. Now, to some of you, that's going to sound high, and to some of you, it's going to sound low. We did this thoroughly. We used the best material. How long did it take us? It took us 29 direct man hours and 10 indirect man hours, so 39 hours total. And then, of course, the company has to make a profit. And the guys were experienced landscapers, not new to the industry. You can always find someone to perform these jobs less and certainly more as well. But the quality you will get with a company like ours says it all. The customer was happy. Have a great day. All right, here is some bonus information I want to share with you about this video. I just finished editing this. This is 2 a.m. in the morning at this point. But because we did something in this video that we have not done before, I thought it'd be good to add this Easter egg at the end to kind of explain pricing a bit more for landscapers and homeowners if you're getting a job done. So landscapers, you heard the price on this particular job. Now that could have been priced a bit low for some markets. It could be a bit high for others. A couple things to keep in mind. The homeowner can always go and find some good, reliable teenagers or maybe some young people in their early 20s, and they can get a job like that done for less. Now the homeowner would have to manage those individuals. Those individuals would have to have trucks and trailers and equipment. But sometimes homeowners can do that. I always tell the homeowner that we are not the cheapest option. We are not the cheapest option. We're definitely not the most expensive option, but we're not the cheapest. You can find even some solo guys, which we are not. We have about 7 or 8 employees at this point. You can find solo guys that can do that for a bit less. But if you want a company that's reliable, has good turnaround for when you're ready to get the project done, it costs a certain amount. Now, a couple other things that we did on this particular project that cost, that are factored into the cost. And you should think about this on all of your pricing processes for a project. And that is the material. I didn't really mention the material, but you always have material that you have to bring to the site. So there's that. You heard the man hours and I said direct, and then I said indirect. Now, for those of you that don't understand the difference, direct man hours are man hours on site on the project itself while our employees are on site. So in this case, I said 29 man hours. We had one guy that kind of represented 19 of those hours. He was the most experienced, dedicated guy to that particular project. And then we had 3 other guys that we rotated in at different times. And so that equaled the rest of the 29. But then I said something about indirect hours. So what are indirect hours? Well, you have to factor that into the cost as well, because your indirect hours are, the most obvious is travel time, but oftentimes you have to pick up material. And so we had to do that on this particular job. you have to go over the statement of work, or in this case, we take videos for our statement of work. And so you have to go over those with the employees in the morning. The employees then have to pack the entire truck and trailer up. And then, since it's a 2-day project, they have to unpack. And then the next day they have to pack again. Not all the same stuff, because you can leave it on the rig, but if it's raining, you have to kind of unpack everything that night before. So it was 10 indirect hours. So when you're pricing something, you always want to have your direct hours and your indirect hours. Now, in this case, it slightly went over budget. I budgeted more like 25 to 26 direct hours and ended up being 29, but we still did okay. The company, of course, has to make a profit. We still did okay on that. And the other factors to keep in mind is, what are you using on the job? These are your capital purchases. So in this case, we used 2 trucks and 2 trailers because we had 2 different trips going. 2 trucks and 2 trailers. Well, those trucks cost money over time. So you have to always factor in some overhead to replace your trucks, repair your trucks. And even if that's $100 or $200, whatever that is, you have to factor that in, because eventually you will have to replace that truck. And every time you use it is using the life cycle of that truck. So it's not just how long did it take and all of that. Of course, we had tools. We were using hedge trimmers and different types of tools and lots of different good solid shovels and wheelbarrows and things like that. Sometimes we use a mini skid steer, but in this case we didn't. In fact, we try to avoid that if we can. It's a lot more cleanup if we end up using a mini skid steer. So all that to say, those are things to factor in. Let me recap, and I want to add one more. So what I said was direct man hours, indirect man hours, and then third would be your capital purchases. What are you using on site that you're going to have to replace eventually? And then, of course, material. So you have 4. And then the 5th one is debris management. And in this case, we had really a full trailer. We ended up having 2 trailer loads of debris of all the old mulch, and a lot of those bushes we took down almost 50% of the way. And so there was a lot of debris to bring back, and then you have to dump that debris, and you have a process with that. So you have to factor into the price debris removal and management and dump fees if you're dumping it in a place that you have to pay. But either way, you have to manage that debris. So those are factors that come in. Again, wanted to give you more on that. Hopefully that's helpful. Oh, and one more thing. This is kind of a bonus to the bonus, an Easter egg to the Easter egg. You know, we've never shared with our viewers on YouTube how much we charge the customer. So this is new. So I wanted to explain that. And a lot of companies that are on YouTube don't share that either. And there's reasons for that. But there's a 6th one that I actually didn't mention, and that is access to the job site. Obviously travel time, but access to the job site would be a 6th one. There were jobs where we had to charge $500, maybe $1,000 more, because it was a really steep incline, and we had rock we were putting down, and just the difficulty of getting the rock up and down a big incline, and trailers up the incline, and the risk associated with that. So sometimes you have to factor that in. If it's in a small area in the backyard, you have to factor that into the cost as well. So access to the location might be a 6th one. But again, we've never done this before. I hope you like it. If you like more content like this, like and subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments. We'll see you next time.